Hi, I'm James Davis with SoftTech Engineering, and today we're going to demonstrate on how to attach to a safety relief valve or pressure relief valve using the Profiler SRV system. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our rig that we have, and I will attach it onto top of our valve. We will tighten this down so it snugs up around the threads. We can use one or we can use two. That keeps it nice and sturdy. Have a little bit of play in there, which we want to have at this point. But right now, the base of this is very sturdy. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to attach what we call is our adapters. Now in the kit, there are 2 boxes of adapters, about 30 or so adapters with all kinds of different thread styles. So that way, whatever thread you have, whether it's a coarse or fine thread, metric, we have all the different thread styles in the kit. So we found the thread style. It's already stamped on the adapter for whatever thread style that is. And we will screw this onto our thread until basically it comes down, and I'll put my finger in here till it comes flush to the top of that. Okay, so that way we're attached and we will pin this to that. Next is we're going to come to our load cells. Now, we have several different types of load cells as far as sizes. This one is a 500, we have a 1,000, we have a 5,000, and we have a 10,000. So basically any size of pole that you need as far as pounds force, we'll be able to lift that with the load cell. Our rig is rated for 10K, 1,000. We also use this rig to do our calibrations, so we'll be able to do that. We have different heights of legs, so if you have a need for the tall legs, or we have also short legs. So if there's an envelope issue, we have the ability to unscrew this, and this will take, and we can just put a new leg in. Very simple, very easy, and the legs, the shorter legs also come with the kit. Okay, so we have an adapter that we're going to, that's part of the kit, that will thread into the bottom, and it's got a hole in it, and that's where we're going to pin. So we will thread that in. So it's nice and smooth. It should go in nice and smooth and easy. If it's catching along the way, pull it back out, make sure we have it greased. We usually grease these and make sure they're nice and able to thread in very easily. Okay, so we have this now set up where it's hooked onto this. We'll then drop this into there. It should bottom out exactly, so it should match the hole. So it won't go any further down in. We'll take our pin and we can pin this straight through. And now our load cell is now pinned to our adapter. So that will create our lift at this point. Now, we have the ability to raise and lower this. So normally grab it with one hand. You can take this off here and here, drop it down so it comes in to the next level. Then you can pin this right back in. Very simple, very easy, and very quick. You can make adjustments very quick. Next, we are going to screw this on. This is our stem adapter. It's got threads with nuts on the top and the bottom. We will screw this down so that it goes fully engaged. In case we have a 10K load cell, we want that fully engaged. So we'll screw this down all the way, okay? And it should be nice and smooth. If it's catching along the way, we need to grease that up, make sure it doesn't gall the threads in any way. So that is attached. Next, we will make sure that our legs are snug. We have a little bit of play in it, which we want. And then we will adjust the nut on the top and adjust the nut on the bottom. We will go tight on both of them at that point, and then we will turn them back a full turn on the top and a half a turn on the bottom. okay? So we have a little bit of gap here and a little bit of gap here. When we lift, this will catch this nut and do the lifting for us. This nut is if the valve sticks open with our pump, we'll be able to use that nut to pump it down and push it back shut if needed. So we just want to make sure that the nuts are basically between a half a turn and a full turn on the top and the bottom, okay? We should also have play in here so that there is no force, no tension, no compression on the load cell for the setup, okay? Once we're set up, that is our load cell setup and we are ready to go. Next, we will want to measure the lift. Now, if I'm out in the field, minimally I need to have the load cell and I need to be able to have a reading for the pressure sensor. So if I'm out in the field, we need to get the pressure from the control room because there may not be a port where the valve is at to read the pressure, okay? So we'll talk about a pressure sensor here in just a moment. Next is we want to see how much lift. So if I have to do a test of a lift or a full lift, we have the ability to read the lift of our stem. So similar to our profiler with control valves, we will attach this to our stem. And we will tighten that up. So now I have a stem attachment, nice and smoothly attached and very stiff there, okay? Next, we'll take our string pot, similar to the string pot we use for our control valves, very accurate, so we can read thousandths of an inch because we may not be lifting this very much, maybe just a thousandth or two to get our pop, okay? We have a screw here that'll screw into this. Right along here, you'll see holes. So I will stick this through one of the holes. There is a thread here on this side of it, and we can attach it, and we'll directly couple that to our arm. And we will snug that down nice and tight. So that's all tight right there. And we will then attach our string pot so that we are reading directly lined up this way, lined up just like this, just like we were doing with control valves. This gives us a reading of our stem movement. So as it lifts, we'll see our pressures and we'll see our forces, and this is part of the lift, okay? Next is we have an accelerometer. An accelerometer in the profiler, what we use it for is to capture the vibration. So if I'm out in the field and there's vibration on the line, that's our base vibration. As the valve starts to simmer or lift, the accelerometer will see that additional vibration, and that's an indicator. We use this, not part of the calculation, but we use this as an indicator of when the valve is going to simmer or simmering or will pop. So we use the accelerometer. In this case, this says a magnet on it, and we can go directly and magnetize that right there next to where the seat would be, okay? Now, if we have something that was, say, stainless steel or non-magnetic, we have a device that we can attach to, which is magnetic, and we can attach it to one of the bolts. So we'll screw this onto the bolt, and we can attach that directly onto the bolt right there itself, okay? So now we have a direct attachment so we can feel the vibration. Again, this is an indicator of simmer or pop, okay? Next is, in this case, we have the ability to read the pressure sensor. So if there is the ability to read the pressure of the line, we want to read that. We have 1,000 PSI pressure sensors and 3,000 PSI pressure sensors. We can also go up to 10K if needed. So we have a 10K load cell and a 10K pressure sensor. We can cover a lot of different amplitudes or loads of a pressure sensor or a pressure safety relief valve. So in this case, we're going to plug this in and we're going to read the pressure itself. So this gives us the actual pressure and the actual load, which is all part of the calculation, okay? between the pressure and the load, we will know exactly. So if I'm hooking this up or I'm doing this in the shop, I can hook this up to my fixture or a bench that I may have, that we can hook that directly in and read the pressure as the test is being done. This will give us the most accurate reading. These are 0.1s, or we can get them as 0.05% accurate. And again, they're temperature compensated. So highly accurate pressure sensors. So between the pressure and the load cell, we get our calculation, okay? So hardware-wise, we are now attached, okay? Next, we will attach, similar to how we attach with our control valve side, is we have an interface box. We have basically input 1 and input 2. Input 1 is where we're going to hook all of our sensors to. Input 2 is for redundancy purposes. This gives us the ability, if something ever goes wrong with any of these other ports, we have another port. Also, for doing seat leak testing, we have the ability with the software to do seat leak testing with some additional hardware. Bubble counting, we can do all of that with these additional ports in the shop when we're building the valves or rebuilding the valves, okay? So this is going to be our interface box here. Now, similar to how we attach to the control valve side, we have a USB cables. We will plug them in. And we will also plug in to the bottom port. Again, you will see a blinking light, indicates our data acquisition card. We are actually, again, doing 1,000 samples per second, and we have a 16-bit data acquisition card. So we can read very small movements in position, pressure, load, and for vibration. Next, we'll plug in the top port. You hear the indication that the card is reading. There is no light on the top of it just yet until we start the software. So once the software is started, we'll have a green solid light. Blinking means we're communicating. Solid means we have power to all of our sensors. With the profiler system, we have the ability to run this all off a battery. We don't have to hook it up to any other power source. We can run it all off a battery, okay? So in this case, I'm going to quickly hook up our pressure sensor. If we do not have that reading, we don't have to hook that up. But in this case, I'm going to demonstrate how that attaches. So this is a separate cable than our cable set, because this may go to a pressure port down the line or wherever the pressure is at, or up the line. And also, if you have a bench, this may need to attach to the bench wherever that may be. So it's separate from everything else that we have. So we will plug that into our red pressure port and also to our red pressure sensor with a red cable. There's a shielding on this that can go up to 1200 degrees Fahrenheit. So this way, if we lay this on a hot pipe for a certain amount of time, we'll be able to get it off the pipe and not burn up our wires, okay? So we will attach this one on. Okay, so that is our pressure attached. Next is our cable set. Now in our cable set, we have this also so that if we set this on any type of pipe that may be hot, it's going to be protected, again up to 1200 degrees Fahrenheit. This comes in, this is a shorter one for demonstration purposes, but we can make this cable any length that you wish. Standardly, it comes as a 20-foot cable section as a complete package, okay? So we will attach this on, put this around here so that we're hooked up. We will plug in our sensors. We do not have an output signal, so we don't have to worry about that. We will connect our load, which is blue, a blue load cell, blue cable, blue connector. Green, green position sensor, green for displacement or position. Black, going to our black vibration and plugging in there. So when we get done, we have these 4 connections. So to do our test, we have to have a load cell. We have to have a pressure reading somewhere, whether the control room gives you that or not. And then the additional features to help see the movement or where the valve begins to lift will be position and also vibration. So these 2 are indicators. These 2 are for calculation. Okay? So we are now attached here. We have our pressures from our pump. So we have a hydraulic pump. It's attached into our cable set. And on the back here, we have a red and a black, which means red and black. That's how they're attached, so you can see that. We can take these caps off. The caps are here to protect so that they don't damage or leak. And then we can attach them directly on, both of them. And so we now have a direct connection to both the top of the actuator and bottom of the actuator for our hydraulics. Okay, so that attaches. I now have a pump that I'm going to attach to. Again, we have red and we have black. And red is going to be, as we pump the valve, we're going to use red for retract. As we pump this, it will retract the actuator, which will lift the valve. So we have the ability to do double acting with this. So we put this back into R, or red, or retract. We then pump the valve. We then go forward. And this way, if the valve is stuck, we could pump the valve and push the valve shut. And then once the valve has closed, we will put it in neutral. And then that allows this. This will also lock up the actuator in place in neutral, so nothing can push this open or closed. Okay? So this is our double acting pump. Very small, very easy, very lightweight, high volume. And then we have very small lines, so it only takes a couple of pumps usually to lift the valve. Very easy to use, very easy to maintain. Okay, so we will attach this using our cable. Okay, so now we're attached accordingly. So there we are, is attached, and we're ready to start lifting. Okay, next we're going to attach to our vibration. Put our vibration on. Make sure that it's set. We can screw that on. Okay. Next and final, we'll attach our position sensor, and we'll also attach our load cell. So at this point, we're connected to the computer. We're connected through our cables for our position, for our load, for our pressure, if available, and for accelerometer for vibration. So this is a quick tutorial to how to attach and use the rig in getting and using the Profiler SRV. If you'd like some additional information, please go to our website, and we will be able to provide that information to you through an email. You can contact me through the website through an email, and also we can do presentations and demonstrations online through Teams, and we can talk and discuss more about the capabilities of the Profiler SRV. Thank you.